Hi, and welcome back to the best thing you watched this week. It's certainly the best thing we watched this week, although for me personally, Chris, the stuff that I reviewed on my channel this week has mostly been poo.
It's been kind of a rough week, hasn't it?
It has. It's a tough week of viewing. And when you get that, I find I get a little bit despondent and down. Like, why am I doing this again if everything I'm watching is just making me go, it's deflated. Yes. However, the stuff that I haven't put on my channel yet, there is some gold, a diamond in the rough, as that mountain says in Aladdin. Diamond in the rough.
That was good. In the rough.
Yeah.
That was good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because I woke up with a bit of a chesty thing. I had a big headache today because somebody made me watch something in black and white last night. And it was so slow. But, you know, you live and learn. Who to trust, who not to trust.
Well, we will be talking about that in our podcast.
We will be talking
section.
about that in the podcast.
Yes.
But this week, we're going to be talking about the best thing we watched. But we do start with movie quiz, and then I do a question, and then we get into it. We have an exclusive audio bit with an exclusive review of a film we both haven't seen. We have Patreon. This week we're going to be talking about Alec Baldwin and all of that kind of controversy that's surrounding that whole issue. And a special TV series for a different tier of Patreon for a TV series. I'm very excited. Stallone might be in this TV series. I'm very excited to talk about this TV series.
Yes.
Gives you an inkling of what we get up to in Patreon. So if you want to support us there, please do check out both our channels if you're on either one of them. We work hard at this. This is more than a hobby for us. One day it'll be a career for us. I don't know why I'm doing bunny ears. One day. I meant to do that.
I'm crossing my fingers.
One day. Oh dear. Thank you for joining.
I don't know what this means.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us on the audio. If you're listening on the audio, sorry you can't see my bunny ears, but I will try and describe as much as I can when I'm talking, and Chris does that much better than I do. I have massive dyslexia, so if I pronounce names wrong, please forgive me, because I have verbal dyslexia as well. So the names I say sometimes will be really fun to figure out what I'm saying. As people found out with my pronunciation of Junji Ito, which is meant to be Junji Ito? I don't know.
See, that's close. That's, whatever.
Or I looked up the many versions of different people saying, because I actually do my homework, people saying stuff on the internet, various people saying this is how you say it. One of them was Junji Ito. That was an American, so that's not how you say that. And then I had another version.
Don't listen to the Americans.
Chris says.
Yes.
But let's get into it.
Okay.
Hello, Chris. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well. Oh, okay. So I did movie quotes last week. Mm-hmm. I think they were kind of softball pitches just because it was our first real show into the
I really
year,
appreciated it, Chris, because I could get them.
Well, so what we had was Hitch, which I love that movie. It's so good. Right here. This is where you live. Right?
It's a good one.
You don't go 100%. You don't go all the way. Man, my mouth is open. Wreck-It Ralph.
Yes.
And then the classic, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh my gosh, just perfect movies.
Just wonderful. Tara Briscoe, congratulations. You got all three. Got it first.
Ooh.
That is outstanding. So yay. Yes. Good. All right. Now, moving on to this week's.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Number one.
Let's do this.
Back up a little bit here because I'm going to try not to yell right into the microphone there.
Okay.
I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burned to the ground. I want to go there in the middle of the night and I want to piss on his ashes.
I don't know what that is, but for the audio, Chris is getting really into it with these hands and like flicking with his finger. I want him dead, yo. Oh, okay. That was really intense.
I didn't do the right accent, but that's okay. I couldn't do it and be aggressive like that. Okay. Number two. Asleep for the danger, awake for the money, as per frickin' usual.
Oh, I know that one.
You don't. You know this one.
Oh, that's gonna bug me.
And when you,
it's like that's scratching at my brain. It's like it's this. Oh my gosh.
You're gonna remember it later. We're gonna be talking. You'll be like, oh my gosh, I know it.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the last one, number 3. Matthew is my father's son. Annabelle is my grandfather's daughter. We are an American family.
I think I've got this one.
Okay. Cool.
Obscure quote, not one I would, but I can place the movie. That makes sense.
Oh, yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah. No, that's yeah. It is more of an obscure quote. Yeah. The movie is mainstream, so it's yeah. Okay. Well, let us know in the comments. Did you get them? We'll give you a shout out. Oh, all right, Ruben.
Nice,
my friend. Do you have a question for us? I do.
So the last couple of questions I've had, there's been a couple of comments. It's like, your friend's a bit morbid. He has a god complex. You may want to check out that he's maybe not a serial killer. So hopefully this question's a little bit lighter.
Well, they don't see, they weren't there when you and I were sitting on the couch. What was that movie that we watched after I made you watch Gentlemen Broncos?
Oh my god.
That had Jack what's his name in it? It was a dark movie. Right. But I'm like, from the very get-go, I'm like, kill them all.
Yes, them all.
Yeah. So they may think you're the psychopath, but hey.
You haven't met Chris's darker side yet. Yeah. Okay, so for our audio exclusive review, we're reviewing a black and white film. I'm not going to give away what it is, but there's a character in that film that is obsessed with her past roles, which happen to be silent films. And that got me to thinking, she makes a good point. Not anyway, so this is my question. And you can answer it, and answer us in the comments down below. And think about it before you answer it. Think about what it is I'm asking. Do you actually need audio in a movie to tell the story that you need to tell? And then let's give examples of films where they convey the message. There might be audio in that film, because most films have audio these days. But there are certain directors that tell visual stories so well that they often don't need any. Now, you can have score, music, they often have in company, but no one said anything. 20 minutes could go by before you utter a single sound. But what you experience on the screen is just visual storytelling. Okay,
so you're talking, when you refer to like silent, you mean just no dialogue?
Yeah, right. For this question, do we need dialogue in movie?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I would argue about the soundtrack or the score.
I think soundtrack helps. And even though silent movies, very quickly after the first talkie, they moved into accompanied music. Like down in the pits in theaters, they had Drive, like a da-da-da, come, just the music accompany. It helps elevate the sort of tone that they're, but there was no dialogue.
Can you tell a visual story? Yeah, you can. And I think it depends on the story that you're telling.
Agreed. If you're watching a Quentin Tarantino movie, could you watch a Quentin Tarantino movie without the dialogue? See, that's something that we were actually taught at uni when I did my degree in television film production. So if you can watch your short story without the dialogue, you've done a good job, because you're telling the story just visually. So then the adding of the dialogue is another thing for your audience to get to grips with what the story is you're trying to tell. So they used to make us do that. Turn the sound off and watch. Can you tell what's going on? Do you get the gist of the story?
Yeah, that's tough. In a Tarantino film, a lot of the time, it is dialogue driven.
Massively.
So that, there's action to it, but I'm not sure you'd understand what's going on, because sometimes
think about Reservoir Dogs. If you're just in that little tin can of a room, everybody's shouting at each other, you could probably get their anger with each other. Something as bad has happened, And when they're like torturing the one dude, you're like, oh, he's done a bad thing, but you might think he's the bad guy, right?
Yeah. Huh.
But Denis, what's his? How do you pronounce his name?
Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Villeneuve. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Him and Ridley Scott, or even James Cameron, for that matter. You know, think about Avatar. How visual that story. You literally have maybe an hour in one segment of Avatar 2 where it's just like National Geographic. It's beautiful, but it's...
But is it telling the story? You know what I mean? Like for that, like if we were to look at Avatar 2, I'm not sure through large portions of it that you would necessarily get the connection to the family.
Yeah, it's true.
And, you know, especially
How
like
about
when...
Blade Runner? The first Blade Runner is very little dialogue.
Well, that's... I think you do need it. I think you have to have it because you don't... there's context in there that, you know... that.
No, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, no, because it's a different... I mean, you come away with, I think, a different movie than what... Are there movies... Okay, so yes, there are movies that you could do without dialogue. Absolutely, that are that still convey the same emotion, that convey the story itself without any speaking. And I'm including in that like sign language. So if you were to take, you know, I mean, if you, because that is dialogue.
Oh, it's definitely dialogue. I mean, that film we talk about is one of the best films ever.
Yeah. So removing any type of that, so it's actually truly not. There's no dialogue there. I don't know if I have an example though of a movie that would be.
I have a very good example.
Okay, what is it?
Okay, The Red Turtle. A man is shipwrecked on a deserted island and encounters a red turtle, which changes his life. Directed by Michael DeWitt, one of the best animated films that looks like Studio Ghibli I've ever seen. One of the most emotional movies I've ever seen. Not a single word of dialogue.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. I've never even heard of that.
Oh, it won so many awards. That came out when 2016. It's an hour and 20 minutes long.
Okay. So let me then throw a different one at you, because I mean there is a little bit of dialogue, but I'm not sure it changes anything. Mad God.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean I got most of what was going on in that movie just visually. It's all visual. But the way it's visual, I mean that's a trip. You go on a trip with a person that's literally going on a trip. It feels like an acid trip, and yet you can visualize the story of what he was trying to tell. So many years in the making. What was it, like 30 or 40 years that he was doing insane on the weekends and piecing it together. It's a work of art.
It is. Yeah.
Very little dialogue. Like I think, and even then they're like shouts or words of like exasperation. You could take those dialogue words out and probably still be fine.
I watched a movie last week. It had been getting a lot of buzz, and I think people are insane.
Oh, I know the one you're talking about, and it's still getting a lot of buzz.
Yes, and I saw on IMDb they have like the trailer that throws all the pull quotes from all the critics on there. And
that poster with like 5 stars says blah blah blah,
and
blah,
how insanely terrifying this movie is and everything else. Well, apparently we watch different movies, because Skinamarink has very, very little dialogue. I mean, it's very atmospheric. I think I know what they were trying to go for, and I applaud that. Ugh.
So the budget for Skinamarink was $15,000. It's shot in the director's home.
Yes, which I think that was cool. His childhood home and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But Primer was shot for $7,000.
Yeah, fair enough. There's a film you could not have without dialogue.
Good Lord, with the dialogue, my brain falls out of my head. Every time that he's sitting on the bench listening to himself tell himself what's going on.
Yeah, you're still going, oh, I love that movie so much. I need to show my son that film. Okay.
Yeah, it's so good, yeah. Anyway.
Anyway, digressing. Okay, so Yes and no.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's obvious. Yes, you can definitely do a film and tell a story without words. And I think that's, but different. I think it really comes down to the story that you're trying to tell, and then I think it really plays into if you have actors, if it's not like an animation type of thing, if you have actors, it's how well can they actually emote? Can they convey all of the feelings and all of the things
because there's some
you're
actors
meant
I'm
to.
thinking of that, without being mean, that are popping into my head, so they would never be able to portray the emotional status of what the scene calls for without words.
Yeah. And there's some that pop into my head, just because I saw him recently, Brendan Fraser in The Whale.
Oh my gosh.
And
yeah,
the amount of emotion that he carries in his face,
I think a lot of actors who've done comedy, they learn how to emote sometimes bigger for either theater or screen. And then when it comes down to the drama, they're able to taper that off, but they're still so expressive with the emotions that they need to tell that you get the nuances without the dialogue.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah.
My balls haven't dropped yet. Okay. Sorry.
That was a little too much information.
to immature comedy. All right. We should move on to our first.
Yes. What's on your list of the best thing you watched this week?
All right. One I got sent.
Okay.
And I'm kind of sad now that I got for the whole franchise, because James Gunn is restructuring the whole of DC. And when I went and watched this film, I remember watching the film thinking, at the end thinking, that was really fun, has massive issues, but as an explosive escapism 2-hour film, I couldn't ask for any more. Then I watched it again and I was like, oh, is this going to be like, now that I've seen it once? Thankfully, it doesn't do that. It's still as fun. I saw some things I missed out the first time, and then it is just packed with, it's like an hour special features of how they made the costume, how they did like the making. For these type of films, the making up is so good. And that is, of course, Black Adam. Ooh. And I was just like, this is, now I think I have all of the DC major films now, like either I'm talking Blu-ray. But it makes me sad a little bit. Like there's some nostalgia attached to those films. They're not all great, and they range in varying, but they're all still fun films to watch. And when you stick them on, it's like, I don't mind this film. I don't know why there's so much hate surrounding it, because I'm not a diehard fan of The Rock by any means. And I think there's some films that he's just crap in, like he shouldn't have been cast in that role. But there's some that he seems to be made for. And that film, Black Adam, I think he was made for that role. He just personifies everything that character needed to be. Mm-hmm. Of course, you have all the extra, the team, Pierce Brosnan, my goodness, as Fate. The fact that we're not going to have him again as Fate makes me so sad. Like, okay, they could write it, but as it stands at the moment, like, we won't get him again. Yeah. And I think Pierce Brosnan's charisma since Bond, like this, he just oozes it.
Yeah,
it was pretty brutal. I was like, I'd forgotten how brutal this film was for a 12. The kills, the way, I think that was part of the fun. So it's explosive nonsense, and it goes on for too long, and the ending is like, it should have ended 20 minutes before it did. Like, what was that big fight with the bad guy that went nowhere really? Yeah. But all that beforehand was great. Mm-hmm. So
it was it's definitely a fun movie. I enjoyed it, and I think I haven't given up hope that James Gunn won't bring back The Rock as Black Adam later, because it's not like he shut the door on it. He just said, that's not the story we're telling right now.
Exactly.
You know, and which, I mean, there's a lot of people up in arms about James Gunn and just the decisions that he's been making lately.
Yeah.
But I think it's tough because he's coming into the middle of an existing thing that has not been working as a cohesive unit.
It hasn't.
And he has to make those tough choices because, HBO floundering as they are, Warner floundering just.
Oh my gosh, it's a mess.
It is.
So someone is restructuring, fixing the house. Yeah,
and you have to clear it out first before you can start to clean it back up again and fix it.
Yeah. That's not saying there weren't good things in there.
Exactly.
It just means in order for those things to make a cohesive narrative. I mean, I'm still pissed about Man of Steel. Like, I want Man of Steel 2. I'm with the fans on that, but at the same time, I understand why he's done that.
Well, and he still may come. You know what I mean? Like, we still, because James Gunn has not just said, we're done with Henry Cavill as...
Yeah, he's also said we're starting the Superman character at a different stage. We may work up to Cavill being Superman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So So that's good. Because is it on HBO also? It's HBO Max, I think, now, too?
Peacemaker.
Black Adam? No, Black Adam.
Black Adam. Yeah. It may be. It may be. Yeah.
So, no, it was fun. I'm glad to hear that it held up after watching it again.
That was something I was worried about. Like, because some of those, you go back and like, oh, this wasn't it. I need to go and redo my score, like, in my review or something.
Yeah, because you can't, like, you have fun with it, you know, but the idea of rewatching it, like that one, as much as I did have fun with it, it's not high on my rewatch list.
No,
like I'm not going, but I think also that's also as a result of just like what we had talked about last week with kind of a Marvel burnout.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Of just, there's just too much now.
Well, to be fair, at the moment, I'd rather go rewatch the DC movies than the Marvel ones because I'm very much burnt out on the Marvel side.
Sure.
Yep. Who knows?
Okay.
So what's first on your list, Chris?
Well, I have not reviewed this yet because I'm only halfway through the series, but Fauda Season 4 dropped on
I haven't
Netflix.
Started it yet, but I want to. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! So, are you a fan of the show?
Massive
itself?
fan of the show. Yeah, it's very good,
dude. This one is it feels a tiny bit different and yet not. We're bouncing between a couple of locations, and kind of like, I think if I remember correctly, in season 3 where they were chasing like one of the terrorists who was like building up a cell. It's kind of like that, except this is happening on a like a more detached scale, and we're seeing new people kind of come in. I was not prepared. There's a flashback, and I'm not even going to tell you what it is or anything else, but I was not prepared for that because it's not a bad flashback or anything like that, but it's just like, oh, we see characters that we don't have anymore. From either season 1 or season 2
it's still too soon.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man,
remember them? They were great.
Yeah, but it really works for the scene because the emotion that we're feeling, the actors display that also. So the characters are then having the exact same reaction that we are. And so that was really cool. I'm digging the story. It's still very engaging. The action is crazy. And like I was looking and I'm like, because it's been a couple years since season 3, and while they have young not young guys, I mean, because Nurit is in there also, she is not a guy. You have some younger actors, but some of the original team, I mean, they're getting up there in age. You know what I mean? And so you'd watch them do the battles and do the fight scenes and do the chases and everything else. It's still very exciting, and the choreography and the editing, they're not cutting a ton, which I like. You know, I mean, so you'll get several punches and interactions before the camera will switch to a different angle and see the fight from a new perspective. You know, and to pick up again with the action. And so it's not like, oh well, they throw a punch and then all of a sudden we're back over here and then we're back over here. It just, I mean. You know, that can create the excitement, but for the most part, you get there's some brutal stuff going on, and then, and the camera will just pan, or it will follow, or it's chasing after, and it's not too shaky cam, which I like also, but you get that sense of motion and of excitement and like urgency. So, yeah, I'm hoping though the rest of the season plays out well. I have faith that it will. The trajectory, though, the story arc could be sad.
Do you know if this is the last season?
I don't know. No.
Okay.
Netflix, at least in the U.S., and I think maybe everywhere else, but but like Israel or the Middle East, over in that region, had they've already seen this.
Right.
Like, you know,
that gives me hope. So it's not a Netflix original; it's a Netflix bought IP. Therefore, it's not on them. So whoever's making it, if they still have scope and story, then they'll do it most likely.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? It makes me so happy because Lor Riaz, and I'm maybe mispronouncing his name there, but who plays Doron? He's the creator. He's the writer. You know, one of the writers.
Oh, I didn't know
show.
that. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. Well, he's also, though. Remember, he was in Hit and Run, which Netflix canceled, which is disappointing. Yeah. But at least now we get him in a back.
So he's writing himself work. Clever.
Yeah, right. Yes. Well, and I think the guy that plays Gabi, who is his kind of antagonistic friend, you know what I mean? Like they have a lot of history together. I think he's also the other co-creator in that. If I remember correctly, that actor. So, which is kind of cool, you know. But anyway, yeah.
So far, definitely worth it. As good as the previous seasons.
Absolutely, yeah. It is. It picks up 2 years after season 3, so 2 years have gone by.
Yeah.
There are 12 episodes, and they are 45 to an hour long. So it's not a fast binge, but it's very engaging. Like I just found myself like I had other things that I needed to do or whatever, and I was like, dang it, I want to go back to this. I want to go back to this.
Well, that's good when it's doing that. So even if the episodes are long, you're drawn into the story. So I hate it when I'm so enjoying the story and it's like I got something to do and like but I really want to find out what happens.
You're distracted the whole time. Yeah.
So if you were in that zone, that speaks very highly of it.
Yeah, it was good. I'm loving it so far.
Nice. Okay, so for me, I got sent by a PR company a bunch of Criterion Blu-ray special things, and it's on the list of films that you should watch in your lifetime. They're 1,001 films that, if you call yourself a film lover, these are the 1,000 you need to watch.
Did you watch all 1,000 this week?
No, they only sent me 5, so I'm going to be reviewing one each week.
Nice.
If they're on the best thing I watch. I won't just review it just for the sake of it. If I thought it was poo, then it's not going to go in there. And then I'll upset people and be like, but it's in the 1,001. It's in the list. Yeah, different opinions. How dare we?
Not allowed.
Can't believe it. So in Japan, there is this. I better check it as Japanese. 100%. I'm pretty sure. Yes. Okay.
Nice.
Director Kenji Mizoguchi. Apparently, because I had to do some research after I'd watched the film. Apparently, he's considered as one of the best directors in Japan, regarded as a master in his craft.
Oh, wow.
And I have to say, after I watched this film, I was like, why the hell hadn't I seen this film before? Like, what is wrong with me? It's a sort of film afterwards you feel like you were rewarded with somebody's craft. And it's a film that is really old. It's 1954 when it was released. Okay. It's 2 hours and 4 minutes. It's black and white. It's got the small aspect ratio. And everything in me that says this is going to be pretentious, it's going to be art house, this is going to be long and drawn out, all of those. And I'm like, do I even want to put myself through this? My goodness, I was riveted from beginning to end. It's called Sansho The Bailiff. Okay, here is the cover.
I
and
like
the cover.
That's beautiful.
The Sansho is the bad guy. He is a slave owner. It's set in feudal time, and this special edition, if you want to buy it yourself, comes with like an explanation and stories, a part of the script. Like it's full on and detailed. It's beautiful. Like
that's a pretty thick booklet.
Yeah, it is. It's wonderful to behold. And then so you get that is the Blu-ray where it sits in there, and that sits in your little cover for people that are collectors like me that love. There's some media that I want to own. This I feel privileged to own. So let me just tell you the really short synopsis. In medieval Japan, a compassionate governor is sent into exile. His wife and children try to join him, but are separated, and the children grow up amid suffering and oppression. So it's not a happy film, but it tells a story of one particular family who the father basically is ejected because of the type of person he is. He's trying to bring in his mantra of every person is equal and you must be kind and merciful to everyone. And because of the time that they're living in, that is not an easy thing to live by. So the dad goes off somewhere. The mom and daughter and son with one servant trek along a dangerous road where there's bandits and stuff. This is just the beginning of the film. They get separated and the kids get sent into slavery. Basically, they're like 13, 14, and they live the majority of their life as slaves. And you get to experience this. The best way I can describe to kind of compare it to a story that would have similar aspects to it is The Count of Monte Cristo. That is the best thing I can compare it to. Obviously very different. Now, it's black and white. It's single camera technique. But what you see within the camera is stunning, like beautiful. One of the things I noticed when I was watching is like, why is this so riveting to me? What is he doing that's different, especially considering it's 1954? So you'll have the camera set up just on its tripod. There's a slight movement to it, like a jitter, but often you'll see stuff happening in the frame, and then you hear audio, and then the actor will walk into frame. There'll be some stuff happening, and they'll walk out. And a lot of the movie is set up like that, and it's just powerful.
I love it when films do that, because you don't see that very much in modern day. You know, where it happens off screen, and then they come into, and we have to have the patience, and the camera has the patience to sit there. Yeah. And that nice.
So obviously there are cuts and there's pans, and there are moments where the camera has to change multiple times for that particular scene. But there's a lot of that kind of allowing the scene to tell the story. There's also the dialogue is where you find out what's happened or who a character is. So you don't really figure out what's going on until like 30, 40 minutes into the film. You understand it by what's happening on screen by the dialogue experience. So you see it all, you know stuff is happening, you see what happens to the kids, and then you're like, well, who is that person? And then through conversation, you find out who that person is. There's no exposition of like dumping of like somebody who's talking to somebody. It's just in the way of the story movement through dialogue and what's happening on screen. It's really cleverly crafted that way. And then the story that they're telling inside of that, between slavery, between what family is, between life, like it's just all so expertly crafted in there, but never feels preachy. It's just like you get to experience this family's life over a number of years. And I'm not going to say it ends. Oh, my camera's doing something. I'm not going to say it ends happily. There is a resolution and an outcome that people will feel satisfied with, but it's a very real look at something. But at the same time, I was thinking about, would I want to watch it again? And yes, 100%. Nice. Not just because it's so well crafted, just because I was so drawn in by the actors, the costumes, the sets, all of that. It's probably going to go in my top 100 films of all time, like straight away. And then like on subsequent viewings, I'm going to be like, yeah, I do wonder where this is going to sit. Now, it does have like old school language. The way people acted, you know, you got to think 1950s black and white films. People acted differently, they spoke differently, dialogue and scripting, but I felt like it was a more realistic look actually at how it would have been then. yeah, man, I was just like, wow. Comparing to like the other black and white film I watched recently, I was, I was like, wow, this is a masterwork. If I could get anywhere close to making something like that, I would be really happy. Yeah,
Nice.
Put this on your damn watch list.
Yes, it is. Sansho the Bailiff.
Yeah,
Cool.
very, very good.
Nice. All right. Okay, moving on. I got sent screeners, and I've seen the whole season, but I'm not going to spoil the whole season, because it comes out weekly for the next 3 weeks as of this recording.
Yeah.
The Legend of Vox Machina, season 2.
Yes.
Dude. Okay. So, I didn't watch Critical Role or anything like that. I didn't really know anything about it when the first season came out. And I really enjoyed season 1. I mean, I was blown away. You know, I had a lot of fun with it. Some of the characters, I was like, I don't know. This is going to be like I'm getting tired of you rather quickly. And but people kept saying, no, stick with it. It's okay because they have a better arc later. You know, or this character comes into there. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, if I know that, then that helps to do this, because then I don't write the character off immediately. Season 1 had some emotional weight to it. It had some, some like, suspense and some peril there and some weight to it. Holy crap, no, it does not when you compare season 2.
Compared to season 1, yeah, it's on a different level. Yeah.
Dude, like, okay, so I had fun with season 1. Season 2, off the charts. I mean, when I compare those two seasons, like, from the very get-go, from the very, very get-go, it is so much more like just the urgency and the direness of what's going on. Their campaign is like, and we get so much more on all of the characters. That's what really, you know what I mean? You get all of these backstories, and some of them you're like, oh man, that is heartbreaking. Or there be moments with a character and you're like, because I don't know what their outcome is, and that's beautiful to have me so invested in an animated show, that, oh gosh, you watched it too, right?
Yeah, this was also on my list.
Oh, cool. Okay.
In fact, this is my first animated show. Yeah, that got 5. I gave it 5. Nicolas Cage is a 5.
Nice.
I enjoyed it that much. I wouldn't want to take anything away from it, particularly because of how they structured the arc throughout the whole season. It's quest driven. It's short quest driven. If every few episodes is our team having to go and collect something for a character, which lends itself into like the D&D Critical Role stuff. So I'm sure the fans are loving that. Like, you need to level up because the thing that you got to fight is you're the underdog. You're so much less powerful. And I love that. I thought that was great. And they used that as a mechanic for us to get to know the characters more. So the thing that they were going to collect was going to help them, but for them to be able to collect that thing, they needed to grow as a character. And it was just genius. Because honestly, I was laughing out loud in one line and then like almost crying in like literally the next moment. I was like, ha! And then you have a character reveal and you're like, oh, that was sad. Okay. But for me, the stand out, without a doubt, was Grog. His story and character progression in this series, I was down for. He goes from being that big brute dummy to his backstory, which was just brutal and sad, and his history. So now, once you know, it's so much more. Oh, there's so much more to him. And then he, from the first season, you know a little bit about his weapon, but there's much more, and that comes in conjunction him having to know where his strength comes, because in season 1, was it season 1 or was it the first few episodes? It's the first few episodes of season 2 where he meets the guy that's is trying to teach him and just beating the crap out of him, and he's like, "Where does your strength come from?" And I was like, "Oh, that old dude kicked his ass, but also started the arc for him questioning himself, where does my strength come?" And then it just builds and builds, and so the place we find him at the end, I was like, man, this is so good. I'm so invested in this character now.
Well, and I hadn't realized it until you were just talking now, but that similar arc follows a lot of the different characters.
Yes.
You know, like, where does your strength come from? What is your power? What is your... And which makes it so much more impactful with the characters. I mean, I was so engaged with them. I loved Caliph.
Don't get the names wrong. The fans will destroy you.
Yeah, well, it's either Caliph or Caliph, and okay. The her arc though, and her, like, she was very timid in season 1. You know what I mean? She was unsure. She was kind of fumbling through things. Sometimes, like, just happenstance, like she would get something right or whatever. Right. And now she comes into her own, and we get to see backstory with her. And
so good. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then what comes about was exciting.
Very.
You're like, ooh.
And you get to see them use those things that they've learned. And I'm just like, yes, this is what I wanted. But that still doesn't mean that they're suddenly superpowered. Excuse me. The entities that they're fighting are so much more powerful than anything they've ever come across. Like, they can breathe on you and you don't exist anymore, sort of thing.
Dude, well, and the crazy thing is, so the main antagonist, I guess, in this season,
the trailer, you do see them, so you get an idea.
Well, so he's one of,
exactly.
You know what I mean? And so if
he's the weakest one of,
that's the other. He's not the boss.
My
gosh.
If you can't handle this with all your power-ups and everything you've worked towards, you guys got no chance.
Dude, the amount of peril that this season brought was just, I mean, because it truly, there were moments, and like you're talking about, like Grog with his weapon, and there's that turning point, and you're like, oh, what? You know, so and good. There was violence in season 1, but I think season 2 also
just think they doubled down on it. But they used that violence in part of their action. They made it emotional, and then they made it hilarious. There's a moment when they're fighting the main antagonist, and the bard comes up with an idea of how to defeat it. I don't think I've laughed so hard. And they're like, that's the stupidest idea ever. And they're like, oh, you're still going to do it? Cool. 2 thumbs up.
Well, and you can see where that would have been like part of their round table play, where somebody's like, this is going to be funny. Do this. And everybody goes, what? Obviously, we're being vague because that has not been revealed yet.
You want to enjoy it. Yeah.
Dude, it was so... I hope, I mean, Amazon has been better about not canceling things just right off. So
yes.
I do hold out good hope that there will be season 3, and hopefully it will be soon. Because, I mean, the time between season 1 and season 2 was about a year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't that long, man. And the animation is still tight. It's still very good.
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah, I hope that is going to stick. Because I enjoyed that so much. It was so good. Yeah.
Okay. What else is on your list?
So coming out this week, I think it's Amazon. It might come to local cinemas. Releases 27th. So that's this week? Yeah, that's this week. A few days time. Was a film I didn't expect to enjoy as much as I did. I never know with rom-com action-y type films whether they're going to be any good. But Josh Duhamel, Jennifer Lopez, them on screen together worked really well. Lenny Kravitz was in there. Jennifer Coolidge.
Oh, really?
Jennifer Coolidge, man. Anytime she Cheek Marin. There's a few that are in there that just Darcy Carden. You'll recognize her as soon as you look at her. Anyway, Shotgun Wedding.
Okay.
Surprisingly really funny. Surprisingly really works. It starts off exactly like you'd expect a rom-com to start off with, and then it turns into an action comedy thing. The thing is with Josh Duhamel, and I think Jennifer Lopez as well, they have really good timing when it comes to physical comedy. And so all the action scenes, because they're not like trained martial artists or anything, they're just a couple that's about to get married on an island. They invite all their family and everything that comes with the messiness of family for a wedding. That all comedy is still in there. But then you get a group of terrorists that want to come and take over the island and take on you because one of the dad is really, really rich. So they're going to use him as a thing to get money. So that's your kind of story in a nutshell. So then we have the bride and groom, or the not yet bride and groom. They're not married yet. The bride and groom to be them working on a fight they were just having, but at the same time trying to save everybody on this island. And what you have like ensues just crazy circumstances from like one bit of action sequence to one comedy skit next. And it works because they have charisma together. It works because I love Josh Duhamel. I think pretty much anything he's in, I really enjoy watching him on screen. Even if the film he's in is not particularly great, I think him in it. Like all the Transformers movies, the ones... Yeah. Was that him? Yeah, pretty sure that was him. Yeah. He's great at it. Like the Action Man, I believe. But this, I think it was because they had really great charisma. And then you get the added on comedy geniuses of like Jennifer Coolidge. She plays one of the mums. And just the stuff she says, how she says it, whenever she says, I was like, I guarantee that wasn't scripted. You definitely ad-libbed that bit.
Well, she is one of the good ad-libbers too.
She's man, I'd love her so much. In this one, I feel like they let her go a little bit. Like say, this is your scene. This is kind of what we want from you. Go for it. And then they just did like a number of takes to see what she came out with, and like kept the best one. Obviously, I want to see the outtakes for this movie because it looks like they just had so much fun. Kirsten and I had this conversation. I was like, I wonder if J-Lo called up Lenny Kravitz and was like, I got this role, I think you'd be perfect for it, can you come? Because in the music industry, I'm guessing that they might have crossed paths before in a music video, and because otherwise I don't know how else you get Lenny Kravitz as one of these roles. He was in Hunger Games. Yeah, but how does like okay, Lenny Kravitz is he's a musician in my mind.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? Like he's not an actor. Totally. He's
yeah. He's definitely more the musician.
Yeah. But yeah, he was good in this. Everybody was good. It was just much more fun than I was expecting, which is why it's on the best thing I watched.
Right on.
I'm pretty harsh when it comes to rom-coms. Like you got to be good. You got to make me laugh. You got to make me feel something.
See, my bar is really low with rom-coms.
Well, I think you'll enjoy this then.
Good. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, because I just need silly, and I need some, some charisma and some chemistry between the two.
It's all in there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Does it, how long is it? Is it like 90 minutes?
Yeah, it's not long. Yeah.
Okay. That's the other thing. It pisses me off when you have a rom-com.
A rom-com does not need to be long. No. Come on. The setup is always, not always, but 90% of the time it's the same, I just want to watch the arc. I just want to, Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, so that comes out this week. Shotgun Wedding. I can't think of the director. I would say it's better than Midway. Like, you know how many of those rom-coms that you get on Netflix that Chris seems to like? Like, they're all better than that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. Well, and and that's the thing too. Like, if I were to ever compare the rom-coms to each other or to other movies, they'd be, I mean, that's not fair then. You know what I mean? Like, because what movie do I put it up against? Do I put it up against, Hitch? Let's just take another rom-com. Dude, almost all of the ones that I've seen in the last year would be rated terribly if I'm comparing it to that.
Yeah, exactly. How do you compare it to like Love Actually or, all of those great ones? You can't.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's not fair to the movie because I don't do that also to the other movies. Like, because I saw Avatar 2, I don't compare that with, and I don't rank it based on the Lord of the Rings trilogy. You know what I mean? Because as visually great as Avatar 2, yeah, the story was absolutely lackluster in comparison. And so
what story? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so you can't do that. But yeah, okay, well, good. So it's better than middle of the road.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, that'll be fun. I'll have to see that. I probably won't see it this week because I have Sundance this week.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. Are you going to be releasing some of them, or are you going to hold off?
I don't know. Like it's crazy because what I wanted to do, like in the last year, is I would wait until the movie actually came out. So, because people are like, oh, okay, well, I've never even heard of this movie.
That's never going to be on my radar until like a streaming service like Apple picks it up. Yeah.
Exactly. So I tried to wait on some of those, and some of them I did, but the problem is I was watching so many and I had such a time constraint last time. This one I still have a time constraint, but not to the same degree. It's a little, I have a little bit more breathing room. So I was literally, like having 15 minutes between movies or less to try and write down my thoughts. Down your notes. Yeah. Yeah. And then, which is fine. But then I would go back, 3 months later, 6 months later and be like, what did that note even mean? And so on some of them, and so I just didn't end up doing a review because some of them I had written more on, or I had more thoughts, or it stuck with me, like Brian and Charles. I mean, great, that one, So anyway, so yeah, I will get to Shotgun Wedding. I just won't get to it this week. And speaking of Jennifer Coolidge, I just finished up season 2 of The White Lotus. I don't think the season is as good as season 1, the second season. Did you watch it? Have you seen the show at all?
I've seen season 1. I just never went into season 2. Yeah. Okay.
Well, you know how uncomfortable season 1 is, like from the very beginning.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's great, but it's uncomfortable to watch. Yeah.
Totally. No. It was an amazing series. It just like you feel this very awkward and this something all the whole way through, and you're not exactly sure why all the time. But I mean, everybody's terrible, right?
Yeah.
The this second season is entertaining, but I never felt the same level of discomfort or awkwardness or anything like that. I mean, there are moments here and there, but on the whole, it had a different feel to it. It was not, for me, it was not as engaging. Yeah. There were still some really good moments within it. There's still a lot of terrible people. But yeah. Now the ending shocked me, surprised me, made me laugh. But yeah. So anyway, just because Jennifer Coolidge is in that, and she's actually one of the big drivers within this story.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So my final thing this week, because like you, I watched stuff that was just, it wasn't as good as it
everything comes down to poo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes. I can't just do mediocre, this is not the best thing. So I chose a movie that is one of my favorites this week.
Yeah, and I just, you needed something.
I did. Yeah. Okay. So I watched, because my wife got it for me on 4K for Christmas. So I was excited. So I watched it.
What is it?
Tangled.
What a great film. Good choice.
It had been like over a year, I think, since I had really sat down and watched it. And I just, from the songs, the animation, and then the whole storytelling, the voice cast is spectacular. You have Mandy Moore and Zachary Levi. Just everything about it makes me feel great, laugh, and be so invested in the story every time. But I know what's happening every single time, you know?
You've seen it. You know it's coming.
Exactly. The scene where he breaks her out, or he takes her out, and she has that back and forth moment of utter freedom and then terrible guilt.
She's
you know what
freaking
I mean?
out.
Just yes, and so excited, but then oh my gosh, I'm like, it's so great to watch. You know, the humor all the way through lands, because it doesn't have to be crass or crude, but it's smart in a lot of it, and it's quick. And then the animation. I mean, you've got Maximus, just the facial expressions that they create.
If I could put a camera on my wife when she's watching the horse, I don't think there's a character that has like tickles my wife's funny bone so much. The facial expressions and how the horse reacts is the funniest thing to her. I mean, with me and the chameleon as well.
Yeah.
Just that thing is hilarious.
Oh, it is, because of the sly looks that you get from it and stuff like that. And he's not the focal point too. That's the other thing that yeah, it's so good. But I mean, they made Maximus. They gave Maximus the characteristics of a dog, which then makes it so much more endearing and funny.
When he sniffs on the ground like a dog, and he's like,
"Oh yeah." Yeah. Or when he sits at one point and the tail wags just a little bit, you know, it just
so good.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was singing along to it. It was just, it was so good. And it reminded me of why I love that movie so much. I mean, we took, you know, I remember when, we actually took the boys to see it in the theater, because there had been a large amount of Disney movies that were coming out that were princess movies that were really geared towards girls. The whole story arc was more, and I'm not trying to take away from that, because I think sometimes there were stories that were really just geared towards boys, but it was hard to find a story that our kids were like drawn to, that they wanted to see. And I remember Disney actually coming out and saying that they made a conscious decision with this, because they were leaving out like half the audience, that they, you know, some families were splitting, that they weren't splitting up, but they were, the whole family wouldn't go to the theater because they had boys and girls, and the boys were just bored or didn't want to go. And so part of the family would stay home. And so they tried to they didn't want to abandon the princess idea, because that was making them a crap ton of money. You know, which, hey, that's cool. But they also wanted to have something that could have a wider appeal than just more segmented like that. And by having a princess who is, I mean, she's the main character, but having her also be action oriented and funny and, you know, the whole thing. And then having the guy as the sidekick. Really?
Yeah. But I think that helps as well, because there was a balance then. You have the female antagonist turning into a hero. She doesn't really know she's a hero. It's a weird dynamic. And then you have the thief who ends up helping her, and he changes, and he's got a character. But then you have male and female there working with each other, and so you have both sides of, hey, I feel like I can invest myself in this as well. And also all the horse lovers, of course, and animal lovers are there.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it works on so many levels, which is why probably as an adult we can still like, this is one that just works.
Yeah.
I love the song in the pub with the thieves.
I got a dream. Oh. Your dream stinks. I was talking to her.
This cracks me up. It's so good.
All in all, it just smells like the color brown.
Yes. Oh, it's great.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's all I got on my list. What do you have more?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry, guys. Yeah. Sticking with animation for now.
Yeah.
This was a Hulu original animated series for adults, strictly 18, but now Star TV have bought the license and they've labeled it their original, and it's on Disney Plus. It's called Little Demon. Have you heard of this?
Little Demon. No, I haven't.
Yeah, so Christians are going to hate this. After being impregnated by the devil, a reluctant mother and her Antichrist daughter attempt to live an ordinary life in Delaware.
In Delaware.
Yeah, in Delaware. Okay, so the voice cast, fantastic. Danny DeVito, Lucy DeVito, Aubrey Plaza. Dude, I mean, it's such a weird animation style because it reminds me of kids animation series that I love to watch. Like there's a lot of Netflix style animation in this type of series, but you would never equate it for the adult content that you get within this series because really? it's like full on like on every level, from the gore to bodies exploding and becoming like, if you thought what's that other series that's so popular that people loved?
Invincible?
Yeah. So that sort of level of gore, or more. And it's really out there. And the reason why I say Christian's going to hate it, because obviously he's the Antichrist, but it takes that and just flings it at the wall and go, yeah, we're going to triple down on that and mess with all religions. And that's what I liked about it. Even though it's like Antichrist, there's nothing that's not for grabs that we're going to make fun of in the way. And then there's still this sort of antagonist in your Antichrist you kind of rooting for, because she just happens to be born, like she didn't choose who her father was or what her mother got up to. Her mother is like this super buff past Wiccan magical user who's trying to stop her daughter from seeing her father, which is the devil, and the daughter just wants to have a relationship with her father because she doesn't know her father because she's been kept away from him for so long. The devil wants to there's some sort of spell that the plane of existence that he's on, he needs to use his daughter to meld them all into one plane of existence to create the crazy universe that he wants to, because the devil has always got an ulterior motive, because that's how it goes.
Yes.
But basically, they're just parents bickering over who gets the daughter. And it's the girl stuck in the middle. But the girl happens to have super weird powers. And that's where the craziness ensues. It's a lot of fun. And the stuff you see, or the stuff you hear, you're going to be like, I'm not sure you're allowed to say that, but okay. Or, ooh. I'm not sure you can show, yeah, you've done that, that's weird. Or the dad will come and visit, who's the devil, and he'll possess a chicken because he couldn't get into Earth and the one way he wanted to. So then you have the devil in a chicken. It's just bonkers and out there. And if you love that sort of adult animation, you're going to love this. It's
nice.
It's messed up, man.
Well, it baffles, like it doesn't compute really well with my head hearing that, because in the UK, like, it's on Disney.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How do you reconcile that? That just makes no sense.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Yeah. And sticking with animation, going to anime, I did want to talk about Junji Ito's
Maniac.
Just a little bit. Because I think I have the same feelings as you, where the 19 episodes that we got, although there were 12, some had double.
Yes.
So 19 episodes. Some really worked, and others just fell flat. I have Spiral here somewhere, and I'm busy reading through Spiral, and I wanted that level of darkness. I don't think it ever quite got there, but there are a few episodes that started to get there, like Balloons. I love that episode. Great, mental, disturbing, and I just like, that's going to give me nightmares. The reason why I think this, and I'm obviously the only person in the world to have ever figured this out, is because he doesn't give you a happy resolution. He just goes from, here's your happy resolution at the beginning, and now we're going to work our way into just disaster, and then we're going to end it. I noticed a lot of the comments were, why did it just end? And I was like, I think it's left for you to figure out what's going to happen next. And you can kind of, like, it just goes, and then this. And then you're like, oh no. the draw away, the thing that took away that was negative is I think it would have been better maybe if they had 2 or 3 stories and had 4 to 6 episodes each of a continuous story that we can get invested with the characters. I think if you do Uzumaki, apparently that is coming, that's a continuous story that you just follow from beginning to end. And that's what I wanted. It was really hard to start getting into those characters and then stop.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and some of them, like I think about the one that really, I was just like, like just scratching my head because was it the thing that washed up on shore or ashore, something like that? Like that, it was a half thought. It felt like to me, where we have this interesting idea, and then it just shows us in the water as it ends, and you're like, was that the beginning?
Yeah.
Or was that a different one? And it doesn't mean that the idea is bad or that the story doesn't have potential. But when I watch that, it's 5 minutes and I'm like, I just don't feel like it's a complete story. You can tell a story in a very short amount of time. So it's not even about the time. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I agree. I think they adapted a lot of his very, very short type of things, or that they took pieces of them.
Yeah.
And I think some of them I definitely would have liked a lot more.
Yeah.
Golly, did the bully one do where it's this mom telling a story, and we see the flashback of her as a kid. That story just got more and more dark.
But that's him to a T, isn't it?
Totally. The story is excellent. I hated it. I did not enjoy that one at all, because it's horrendous, and then it gets even more so. And I'm like, ugh, golly, I don't like how that makes me feel at all. There's nothing. The story's outstanding, but yeah, ugh. So
nice.
The animation for me, it was mixed, I think. There were a couple of, because I had said in my review, there's a few of them where it was basically just a still that they panned the camera over versus, or that they made, that they just dragged the image through what we see versus having any real animation to it.
Yeah.
Well, that's not bad. It also was very slow at that point when you would see that, because it's just, I don't know. Yeah. I was watching a Ken Burns documentary, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, the next one, I just kind of wanted to flag up. I'm not going to review it. I've got a full review coming this week, but going off your, I've never heard of that. I really want people to know about this. There's a new Hulu original series. It'll be on Disney for Stars coming on the 25th. And on Hulu on the 25th as well. It's an original series called Extraordinary. Jen, a young, self-aware woman who lives in a world where everyone has a superpower except her. British, dry humor. And this is what I loved about it. Short half an hour episodes. Doesn't outstay its welcome.
Nice.
Sort of sitcom-y, the series that we get lots of British series like this. Best friends in a house, sharing a room, doing life. And then in a world where everybody has superpowers except you. And now, I think I was mentioning to you off camera, there are superpowers and then there are superpowers. Can I give you an example? Just one, so minor spoiler, but one person has the superpower of a 3D printer in his butt. That's the sort of imagination that they go to. I've seen 3 of the 8, and I laughed in every one, but was also emotionally invested in the characters. It's emotionally draws you in. You care for the person that has no powers. You want her to get a power. She wants to get a power, but looks like she's not going to get a power. But in a world where everybody has powers, you feel like the underdog all the time. So when she's trying to go for an interview to get a job, and the person that she's facing can read your mind or forces you to tell the truth, that's her superpower. What do you do? how do you have a defense against that? Yeah, so it's a really nice take on the superhero genre that's done to death, but with but with British humor, with a nice kind of short, sharp, sweet stay.
Nice. Does it have like one continuous story, or is it more sitcom-y where each episode?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So the arc is her trying to get her superpowers.
Okay.
Okay. And then it's like her friends. What do they do from day to day?
Sure.
Who are her housemates? So she has 2 other housemates. And what does the world do in this time? What is her family like? That kind of stuff. It kind of introduces us to her world. Yeah.
All right. Well, this sounds like right up my alley. I love British humor, so that'll be...
It's so good. Yeah. So definitely put that on your list.
Sweet. Extraordinary.
That is, Extraordinary. Comes out on 25th. That is everything on my best thing I watched.
Cool. All right. Well, hey, we thank you for watching. We invite you to, if you have not, like, share, subscribe both of our channels. Ruben with the Ruby Tuesday, me, Chris, Movies and Munchies. You can tweet at us at Best We Watched. Also, we have a Patreon opportunity, like Ruben had teased before. We're going to be talking. We got 2 videos dropping today for different tiers, and so you can check that out at patreon.com/thebeardedones. We'll also put the link in the description below. And Ruben had also talked about, we're going to be talking about a movie from 1950 that neither of us had ever seen, which is kind of surprising, really. I mean, considering
what it is,
the movie itself. Yeah,
we should have. Yeah,
we really should have. Yeah. But we're going to be talking about that in our podcast section, which will then also contain entertainment news and some of the releases that are coming up in the coming week. That's a lot of word of coming there. Okay, you're just going to move on there. But you can find us on a podcast, basically whatever platform you happen to use. Just search for the best thing we watched this week. And if you do happen to listen to us there, if you could rate and review us, that would be huge. It would really help out that. And I think that's it. So with that, hey, we'll see you next week. All right, take care.
Toodles.